Right. Then why is it that regulators frequently step in to what some people say, or they have the concerns that they're trying to control the market or trying to stifle the market growth? For example, the proposed price cap on merchant power and IPP power projects. If you're putting a ceiling and this is an area of concern for all, then aren't you limiting the power market?
Yes, it's certainly a kind of a catch-22 situation. Okay. It's whether setting up a price cap of 8 rupees per unit is really going to stifle the power market is an issue. Okay. Most power generation in the country happens in the range of 2 rupees to 3 rupees per unit of generation.
True.
So you know the cost of 8 rupees is nearly 3 times the cost of generation. So at that level, I don't think it is going to stifle the power market actually.
What about liquid fuel-based plants?
Liquid fuel-based power plants certainly may suffer, okay, but what it says is about a day-ahead contracts and the short-term contracts. If the liquid fuel plants have been established, if anybody has established those plants, certainly they have been established with certain purpose, and there would be a long-term power purchase contract. Okay, nobody would establish the liquid fuel-based power plants with the short-term trading in mind. Okay, because the liquid fuel-based power plants, the cost of generation goes to as high as 9 rupees, 10 rupees sometimes. Okay, so no one is really going to establish those plants because otherwise those plants will be very rarely successful in the competitive market. So you know, liquid fuel plants are not really active in the competitive market. So it's not going to really stifle the competition. Nevertheless, you know, I am not a personally advocate of such price caps. I believe that you know these kind of prices actually incentivize generators to get into the market, to take the risk of the construction. And if you see the results of the 11th plan, we expect a lot of capacity to come through the generators,
Right.
you know, from the private sector generators. In fact, if you saw in the presentation made by my colleague Suresh, he said that around in this plan, 11th plan, as against the target of around somewhere in the region of 13,000 megawatt for private sector, we expect around 20,000 megawatt of generation capacity coming from private sector. And that has been feasible only because there is an opportunity for private sector to make money.
Perfect. In that case, why is there always a problematic situation in the power sector? For example, we have seen the IT sector, the telecom sectors go at a blistering pace. And here you talk about this power sector being a concurrent subject. So we have states and center vying for control of the sector. And so we have this problem of maybe, where the IT sector has grown by leaps and bounds, but when people compare it to say the power sector, now maybe there may be an unfair comparison, but we feel that, a lot of people rather feel that it's the states and the center and the people who are policymakers, the regulators, who are actually not helping it grow to the extent it could have.
I don't agree with this. First of all, the sectors like IT and telecom are totally different than the power sector. There is no common man involved typically either in IT or telecom. Telecom, yes, today the rural connectivity has increased and a lot of rural population is also using mobile phones and new latest telecom gadgets.
And some of them are not paying for the power, they're paying for the
Some of
mobile
them
bills.
Possibly. But the growth of the sector happened when there was a very little involvement of common or even the middle class people. In fact, the mobile services, when they came into India, the charges were rupees 16 per minute. I remember the first mobile instrument which I had, a service which I had procured, the tariff was rupees 16 per unit. And today the services are available at 16 paise per minute. Okay. Second thing, there are no natural resources involved in both IT or telecom. What are involved is the human resources, financial resources, but no natural resources involved. In both power as well as water, huge amount of natural resources are involved. In fact, we do work in the water sector. We are advisors or consultants to the only water resources regulatory authority in the country which is operating, that is the Maharashtra Water Resources Regulatory Authority. And what we experience over there is even messier structure. than what we see in electricity. In electricity, at least there is a clarity between what is the role of the center, what is the role of state. Okay. The water sector, even that clarity doesn't exist. Okay. Also, the water is certainly much more important natural resource than electricity or coal or natural gas. So as a result, there is a lot of local governance issues which come into play, and regulation becomes extremely difficult.
True, which is why you have water sharing problems like two South Indian states had in the recent few years.
Correct.
And then that same thing can be used in the analogously to the power sector. I mean, a state can say, why should I export my power? I should use that power within the state. But then that will lead to a problem within states and breakdown of the national mechanism, so to say, of integrity. And
it's a really fine balance, as the minister as well as many people in the morning session, first session mentioned today. While certainly the generators would like to have the certainty, regulatory certainty, political certainty about the contracts which are involved, but at the same time, the local compulsions you can't overlook. Okay, like if the state is going for elections, and if there are state generators which are supplying power outside the state, the reaction is natural. We are a democratic country, so democracy supposedly works for majority. Majority of people will get offended if they are subjected to load shedding while the power is being supplied outside the state. So it's going to be extremely difficult to stop such actions. Pure market mechanisms don't work anywhere in the world, whether it's India or whether it's US. Farm subsidies are a very well known example in US, North America. Everywhere there are farm subsidies. Okay, while the same people sometimes object on the subsidies which are being given in India.
True.
Okay.
True.
So not always the rational decisions are taken.